it's going to just put on due pressure on the children. Know the children. Children learn different.
We wrote exam with the fear of failure. So there was just that fear of, I will fail and I will be flawed.
So you can imagine a very smart kid. Yes, you can imagine a very smart kid, but I was bullied. I experienced such high level of bullying when I was in school.
Unfiltered, unscripted, unmaxed. This is the Bridge Podcast with PYV, Precious, Yami, and Victoria. At the Bridge Podcast, we are connecting the dots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bridge Podcast, where parents and teens come together for real talk. Today, we are about something nearly every teen experiences, but not every parent fully understands: school pressure. Whether it's striving for straight A's, making parents proud, or trying not to fall behind, teens are carrying more than just a backpack these days. They are carrying weight of expectation, competitions, and sometimes fear of failure. But what does that pressure actually feel like? And how can families work together to support academic growth without burning out on their connections? To help us unpack this episode, I'm joined by the delightful Mr. Precious. Good afternoon, Mr. Precious.
Good afternoon, Miss.
Also joined, another co-host today is Miss Vicky. Thank you for joining us, Miss Vicky. Hello.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So let's go straight into the conversation. The topic again today is the school pressure. Can you tell us, based on personal experiences, school pressure look like right now amongst teens and even as an educator?
School pressure is actually real stuff. And before I go into the discussion for teenagers, even the students that I teach right now, I would talk about my own personal experience. So for me, school pressure was not really academic because I was a very smart kid from time. I was so good in math. My teachers loved me. I was that kid that my teachers would use as example. My dad loved me because I was always, topping the class and all. But one pressure that stood out for me was the fact that everybody else in my class or around the school made me believe that I was not beautiful and I could just not stand up for myself. So you can imagine a very smart kid. Yes, you can imagine a very smart kid, but I was bullied. I experienced such high level of bullying when I was in school, to the point that going to school felt like chore for me. So if not that, maybe I had a very good IQ and it came natural for me to just do well academically. I didn't have the desire to read at some point. I didn't have the desire to want to go to school or be in class. But I always had this, because I always had this issue of bully. I was deep in low self-esteem. I couldn't speak up for myself. Everybody else would trample on me and speak so rudely at me. And it will hit me at some point. Even when I reported and they were punished, it was reoccurring. So I think that now that I'm a teacher, I say that school pressure can take different forms. Whilst a huge part of it can be academic, we also have some social part of it, which is what I experienced, as a student. Yeah.
Mr. Precious, how are you?
Thank you, Miss Yomi. Miss Vicky, that was serious.
People see me now and they can't even relate how when I tell them that I was...
Yeah, I'm trying to put the phrase between all of that.
Because when I see bullying in school, I'm triggered till date. I'm triggered to say, no, we don't take that here. It has been my experience. So people are surprised. You, Vicky, like this, you were bullied at some point, but thank God for God. It's been a journey, but thank God. Yeah.
Super. Go ahead, Mr. Precious.
Well, mine wasn't bully. You know what bully is?
Of course.
All right, mine wasn't bully. Mine was that, I usually have this after exam drama. There's this after exam drama we usually encounter in that time. And that was the problem for me. Now, not on one hand, I wasn't dull, but somehow I was not enlightened enough on how to bring out the best of myself. It was much later, in fact, in the university that I knew that I'm not even average, I'm not above average, I'm excellent. And it showed in my result. There was usually drama, back to back drama from junior secondary school into senior secondary school, where either the principal or one teacher, mathematics teacher, will just come with some facts, canes and test and exam. We're all in trouble. So we wrote exam with the fear of failure. So there was just that fear of, I will fail and I will be flogged. So that was just the issue. And somehow I don't know how it did not help us become better. I don't know up to you now, but it did not help us become better. That pressure of, they are going to just flog us when we are done with this. If not that, over time, we grew and overgrew those things. I would have been up to date suffering from phobia, for example. Because every time after that drama that will always follow after exam. So that was my own challenge. Yeah.
Wow, I can't even begin to imagine. But what then? Where do we think most of this pressure comes from? Is it the parents, the teacher, or the peers, or even ourselves? Where do we feel like most of this pressure usually comes from?
I think it's a combination of all of them. Is just from society. It starts from home as well, sadly so. It starts from home. It's our parents expecting so much from us and giving us a very structured definition of success, such that even a child that is probably not doing so well academically, for the parents, if academics is the only thing that means success, then the parent is perpetually under that pressure, forgetting that every child will not be academically excellent. I always say this. I know people don't like to hear it, but it's just the truth. It's just what it is. Yeah. Not every child will be academically so excellent. So I think one of the sources is our parents just having this tailored definition of success and putting it as a weight on the children. Another place that we get this pressure is from our teachers, just like parents. So if we don't have teachers that really understand how some of these pressures can affect our students, our children, they continue to push forward this one-size narrative of success. And then from peers, like mine was hugely from peers. I've not changed much from my childhood, and they make me feel that you are not beautiful. In fact, they used to call me Afin then, because we had a lot of Yoruba people, so they call me Afin, that is like albino. And then my dad used to barb our hair call. So if you check the scalp of my hair, it's red. My scalp is actually reddish. So my dad always barb our hair skull, so they call me Afin. And I just, for a long time, I didn't have an idea that I was close to being beautiful. I just felt like I'm just yellow anyhow, I'm just red. Yes, and we're going to talk about how these pressures are a lie. They're just a lie, you know. So yeah, pressure from peers. So I talked about pressure from parents, teachers, and peers. Yeah.
Mr. Precious.
Yes. So Ms. Vicky said start from home. Well, it may not always start from home. I mean, the pressure, truly. It may not always. We have parents who are not academians. They don't say.
Right. As long as the child is good.
So they were not interested in whether you were doing well or you're not doing well. They don't check your results and all of it. It wasn't that they were not academically inclined, but somehow the pressure did not come from home at all. Mine was completely from the school and from the teachers. That was mine. So yes, so that was my own. Was just the teachers were after us, that come, you must not fail. And the issue now, not just that they were after us not failing, let me not use the word, they were not doing so well too. Somehow I can handpick a few of them that were really impacting us with knowledge. All right, but regardless, some that just comes and still they just want you to do well, yet they are not delivering well. So for me, the pressure came from my teachers, came from my school, the proprietor. So sometimes I think home will not even be the issue. The issue will be school and teacher. Said it could be the peer. Yes, that's
though I have always not been a supporter of flogging kids, but like we said, it can come from different platforms. Some parents actually come to schools because you guys don't flog them. That's why these children are not serious. That's why they don't know anything. It's going to just put on due pressure on the children. Know the children. Children learn differently. And like Miss Vicky had mentioned earlier, not every child is going to be 100% academic inclined, not like inclined, but on a higher level. I have dynamic children. I have one very social, and then I have my son that loves puzzling. He loves academics. Am I going to treat the both of them the same way? No. It could be from home. It could be from the school. It could be from teachers, and of course from the peer. Comparing yourself. I'm glad that we all share our experiences. So what are the parents' expectations? What is something that parents often get wrong when it comes to supporting teens academically? What is that one thing that most parents usually get it wrong when it comes to supporting their children academically?
Generally, I've come to realize that it's not just parents now, but most persons, not just parents, they focus more on grade rather than efforts. That's it. They focus on grade. You just must do well. I mean, academic. And just as Ms. Vicky rightly said, there are students who their issue is to write down something in the paper. That's their issue. They can talk. If you ask them orally, they can defend whatever they know. But you see, when it comes to writing, they have issues with writing. We have some, they are both writing and speaking, they don't like it. But when it comes to painting a picture, painting an image, they are fine with that. We focus more on grades. You must have 90 over 100 or 85. What your mates scored this and that. Why can't you? Not all students will be able to do that. Not all can write. Not all can let me not say read, but not all can write and pass well. They have their strength. We just need to find what is your own strength. What exactly are you good at? At the end of the day, the truth is not every one of them should even go to university. Not all of them should go to polytechnic. That's the truth. When they are done, some of them you just throw them to a certain school of fashion. Just go there. That's your calling. So we focus more on grades rather than effort. I know that literally will study. They will study. After the long study, you give them something to write, they still be writing rubbish. Now the proof that they studied is that they were writing something. You will see something meaningful, but it's not in correlation to what you are asking. You just know that there's a problem somewhere. The problem is not this person per se, it's just that this is not this person's line, right? I've interrogated some of them before. I say, come, what's the problem? Did you not read for this exam? So I read, so what's the problem? Then I realized that the issue is not just them. So let's not be on the lookout for grade. It must be grade. No. There are times that it should be effort. But it's not only grade. There's something more they can do than just writing exams and passing. So we should look into that too.
Ms. Vicky, also you want to share?
Yes, just to add to that, very valid point, the fact that parents are really, not just parents and teachers are really so focused on grades that they forget to build the whole child. And I think that the job of every parent and teacher, this is what I say, the job of every parent and teacher is to help students find their core. And what that means, what that looks like is, I would use my mother as an example. My mother used to do something amazing. She was a teacher, primary school teacher at that time. But this is what my mother would do. Whenever she picked our report cards, my mother doesn't care whether you take first over 100 or last over 100. My mother would go to each of the subjects. She would look at not just what you scored. My mother is not just looking at whether you got 50 over 100 or 100 over 100. She would then look at your position in the class. If, for example, you're getting 50 over 100 and you are the highest in that subject in the class, my mother would say that school is not competitive, and she would move us from schools like that you are just feeling like the local champion and all that. She would move us from schools like that. So she would look at the grades. She's looking at how well you're doing. I've been to a school before. She moved us from one school and I think I got maybe 60 in one subject and I was the first position. She moved us from that school. The next term I got around 75 in that same subject and I was like the 13th position in that subject. Yes. So that's this new school, you can see that is highly competitive and it will push me to work harder because I could do it. But in that other place, I was just relaxed and feeling like the local champion, best in class, not knowing that there was low competition. Now, what my mother will also do is to see the subjects that you are really doing well in. And just from that primary school level, secondary school level, my mother could tell who is going to be art, who is going to be science. She could tell, no pressure. And my father on the other end, my father, would just be like, what is your position? First, let's do an exam party. You got third. Why are you getting third? Why not first or second? My mother doesn't care about that. Do you see? And I learned that from my mother. And I didn't think much about it when we were growing up until I became a teacher. And I started to see that these things are really what our job is as parents and teachers. It's hard work. It's hard work finding out what is the strength of this child and how can I tailor support for them to be able to maximize their strength. So I think that, again, what parents or teachers always do, mostly get wrong, is just that strict and very traditional definition of success around just grades. Beyond grades, there's moral, there's the morality of the child, there's the spirituality of the child, there's the emotional intelligence of the child. There are other aspects you need to look at. The skills they may be good at, their creativity level, what they like, what they enjoy, and all that. Yeah.
Thank you both so much. Really.
Can I add something? I have this twin in one of the places I work. One is a guy, the other is a lady, and this boy is very good academically. Very, very good. All right. And the girl, on the other hand, is not as good as that boy. It's not good. She's probably around average or a little above average, but this guy is an excellent child academically. But you see, one thing I've learned from the parents of those two is that they still support them regardless. They don't rate one above another. They don't compare them. Right. And then it's that this girl that's not doing so much well academically can do a lot of things, a lot more. She is much more like a mother. She knows how to take care of things. She knows how to plan things. She knows how to put things in order much more than the boy. On one hand, the boy is very good academically. On the other hand, the girl has some other things that she's very good at. Sometimes I just look at her and say, you are just like a mother. We should look beyond grades. There are many other things that we should look out for in a child, all right, and celebrate them for it as well. Not everybody will be isolated, So that's it.
Yeah, so it's very valid that most parents are more fixated on the grades and the academic performances and neglecting the other aspects of parenting, the effort that these learners or the teenagers go through. Comparison in some aspects is why. So you're comparing your first child to the second one or the third child. We need to look into the children. What is so peculiar about this particular child? What can this one do differently from the other? And that's what we need to do. Now, looking at the mental health angle, have we seen any or felt any link between academic pressure and the mental health? Do we see any correlation in the academic pressure and the mental health in general?
Yes, for me, like I said, I would have been suffering what we call fear of exam, or like that's the feeling. In fact, I suffered it a little. Just thank God that I became a man of faith. Like over time, I began to live my life by faith, and that all began when I was in university. All right, I had some confessions I began to make, and those confessions was from scripture, that I know more than my teacher, I know more than the ancients and all. So I just kept making those confessions, and that was how I overcame exam fear, that phobia for exam and for failure. So I just know one thing for sure: I can't fail. So at this point, I'm so sure I can't write any exam and fail. It's not possible. But then I had that fear that. So anytime I'm writing exam, there's always this fear somewhere inherently that what if you fail again? You can fail again. So somehow it had an effect somewhere inside of my brain that I could not even lay hands on or lay hold on. So of course, yes, there's a relationship, there's a correlation. Sometimes it can even bring low self-esteem to that child, and many other things attached to it. It can bring depression, because over time you might begin to compare them with their mates, compare them with your neighbor, compare them with their classmates, and it can bring depression. It can bring all kinds of there's a link.
So I agree totally with what Mr. Precious said, that there is a link between academic pressure and mental health, really speaking. Because the truth is that the problem most teenagers have, aside all the other emotional problem, one big issue in the lives of students and teenagers is that academic issue, just getting it right academically. Mental health itself spirals from a judgment of your human worth. If you don't think that you are up to a standard in academics or in physical looks or in whatever, that is where mental health stressors start to come in. I read a research by psychologists in 2022 that says that academic stress is one of the factor that is correlated with anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders in most teenagers. And that is very, very profound to note. So I say that one of the ways that we can actually tackle these mental health disorders that we continue to notice in our teenagers and the students is for schools to begin to think about how to remodel their reward system, number one, because schools actually have this reward system of celebrating IQ. IQ is natural, like we have said.
Right.
IQ is natural. I mean, some children are just born being very sharp and all, and why we must preserve that gift in some of the students and make sure that we nurture it, and all that. We must also think about the effect of our reward system on students who do not naturally have IQ in the areas of academics, because like Mr. Precious said, that girl does not have IQ in the areas of academics, but she's a brilliant girl in organization. So I wish a teacher would tell her, or a parent would tell her that consider studying business administration, something that has to do with business, hospitality, maybe having and running hotels and all of these things, just taking care of people, or consider the food business and all that. So that from just a very young age, we are putting the children in line with their natural tendencies and the effort that they put in. So schools should celebrate effort rather than natural tendencies. So instead of just first position to the sharp guy, the sharp girl all the time, why not celebrate that child who made 40% last term, but this term they are on 42%? What is the reward system that can be in place? That child that was on 12, but is now on 15%. That's effort. That's some level of, and once we start to do this, we will provoke the best even out of the lowest kid. Oh, they saw that I did 1% and they celebrated me. That's nice, right? So schools need to start to rethink how our reward system works so that this mental pressure that we put on our students can really be eased off.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Vicky. Mr. Precious, you were going to say something.
It's just biologically little, When I also noticed this, when I studied this, it helped me as well in judging. I stopped judging students by performance, academic performance. Now, we know from biology that some good percentage of intelligence is passed on from parents to offspring. Say around 45 to 50 something percent of intelligence is passed on. So you have an intelligent parent, most likely you have intelligent children. All right, so it can be passed on. Now, if you see a child not doing well, it's not always 100% their fault, right? Yes. So we still should celebrate some other aspect of their lives, just as Ms. Vicky has said. Celebrate effort, celebrate progress, celebrate other. I think we should start doing that too in schools, where apart from celebrating overall best in this, let's celebrate the neatest student for this term or for this session, the neatest student, the most friendly student, the most.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and in this time of course, the session is running to an end in most of the schools now, or even if some schools are done already, and that brings us to what can actually help. And I'm glad you mentioned that schools should encourage different kind of improvement. Or maybe that child normally would come to school dirty, but for the whole of the session they actually improve for this session. I don't believe that there's any learner that is not doing good in the academics. It's just the level at which they are picking it that differ. Do you understand? Right. So for me, academics is not best in that, doesn't always. So this is just a way of encouraging the learner. If you're not doing so great in your academic, you're still doing great in some aspects. Of course, look up to be here in everything effort you put. You're doing good. That we need to learn to look into the different aspects of those children. That's bringing us to this topic. What actually helps? What's one thing our parents or teachers really should do that can help these teenagers? Because I think it's by the time they start getting to a certain age, where they are still young, they're still not understanding. But when these kids start getting to 13 and 14, they begin to build esteem. They begin to build the self-value. Yes, they begin to bring out who they really are. How can the society, how can parents especially, how can they help to actually relieve the pressure instead of adding to it?
Miss Yumi, do you know, I think I want to start from what we just concluded, then continue into this. Do you know the primary essence of the establishment of schools? First, now I'm talking about the first schools that we established. Talking of schools like Harvard, schools like Princeton. When those schools were established, like Harvard, by John Harvard. John Harvard happened to be a missionary, Christian, a pastor, clergy. The reason he established school was first to teach the people, or those that were, yes, it was to teach them the way of the Lord, teach them moral excellence. What's the primary essence of education? Generally, it's actually to change the belief system of people, general belief system, their ideology, bring them to a higher cadre of reasoning, not just to be able to solve maths and read English. That was even secondary, but now we have changed everything. It is now has maths, has English. Forget about the rest. They are no longer interested in the rest. So we need to get back to that place of what? Of celebrating other aspects of education. Education should change you morally. Do you know we have people who have gone to school but they are not educated?
True.
Because going to school doesn't automatically make you educated. You can even be first class. We have PhD holders, doctors who are not educated, because education should affect everything about your life. The way you dress, the way you speak, the way you move, the way you communicate, the way you relate with people, your social life. Education is supposed to touch every aspect of your life. And that's why we do all of the things we do in school, extracurricular activities, all of those debates, all of those things are in a bid to touch different aspects of our lives. So that there are some students who are not good in maths and English. They may be good in speaking, in speech. They may be good in coordinating. This is why we have prefects. All of these things are to one goal, to touch every aspect of that child's life. And so we should be able to celebrate every aspect, not just the academics, the grades. Celebrate other aspects. Give them rewards. Change the reward system, as Ms. Vicky said. Let's shift the reward system. Reward them for some other things apart from grade. So yes, we are rewarding somebody for grade. We are rewarding some other persons for something else. Rewarding some other persons for something else, so that they feel encouraged. They feel like, okay, yes, I think we are all inclusive in this school. We are celebrating a lot of things, and somehow it may just push them into doing better, even academically too. That's my own take.
Thank you, Mr. Precious. Ms. Vicky, you want to round off on that discussion on that? What actually helps? What do you think that parents should do? So, instead of adding to it, what can they do to help relieve the pressure?
Okay, so I would just add to what Mr. Precious said, really profound again. And what I want to say this time is that I think parenting and teaching are huge ministries. Jesus himself was a teacher, and even scriptures talk about how teachers would be judged with a higher standard than even listeners. And he said, be careful not to desire to be teachers. I don't know if teachers in classrooms even consider scriptures like that. I say, don't desire to be teachers. Yes, it's really huge, because You are dealing with lives and destinies. Do you know that most teenagers pick a line of career not based on... Teenagers are not able to process this thought. It's mostly teachers that say, go to science, or their parents are saying, go to science, go to art. It means that most of us started a line of career that was chosen for us. So if people who are in charge of choosing this career path and telling you, no, go this way, don't go this way, it's a very serious business. And like Mr. Precious said, and something I also say to teachers that work with me is that God forbid that I'm a teacher and I'm just teaching maths and English. I will teach maths and English. I will teach it very well. But that's not all that there is to teaching. It's really a ministry. And something I read somewhere by one popular educator is that educators are not called to cover the curriculum, but to uncover the child. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Educators are not called to cover the curriculum, but to also uncover the child. So that's the aspect I want to talk about. For one thing that parents and teachers must do is beyond, let's just celebrate effort. Yes, it's good, the celebration. But even as you are celebrating effort, what are you working at in the life of that child? How are you trying to see what can this child study based on their aptitude, that is their strength, based on their passion, that is their natural? What are they likely to go to school to study? Which line should we put them? Should we be thinking of art or commerce or science? Do you understand what I'm saying? Or what resources can we get? I see a lot of parents under pressure. They will go and buy musical instruments. They will buy musical instruments for their children just under pressure because other parents are doing it. No correlation with what the child likes. The child doesn't have any interest in anything music or has never shown any interest in anything. Do you understand? So we are not taking this parenting and teaching thing very seriously. So even the resources you get for the kid, you should start to tailor it to their aptitude and their natural inclinations, such that you are just putting them in the right track. I don't know if you get what I mean. So that is really the work of parenting and teaching. It's big deal. It's big deal.
Wow, yeah. Thank you so much. That's really, I'm hoping that the parents, they're listening and take it to heart. We need to do better as parents, as teachers, and just please help them focus more on other aspects. There's more to us than academics. There's more to the children than just the A's and the grades the pressure that we put on them. So to the audience out there, if you are a teenager, what's something you wish your parents understood about school? And for parents, what kind of pressure did you feel as a student? And how does that influence how you're parenting your children now? We would want you to put that in the comment section. Let's have that chat. For today's episode reminded us that behind every test score is a teenager trying their best. Sometimes while carrying visible stress, grades matter and identity matters more. Their identity comes first before all of the grades and the pressure. Please, parents, let this be a reminder. Support looks like asking how they are doing before asking about their report card. What was those things that stood out to you before you ask for the report card? And teens, your best is enough. Even when it doesn't feel like it, just keep trying. Let's keep building families that care more about who our kids are becoming rather than just what they are achieving. God bless you all. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if this episode stood out to you. Thank you so much, my co-host. Thank you, Mr. Precious, for joining us today. And thank you, Ms. V.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. I'll see you in our next episode.
All right. Bye, everyone.